The zipper of the tent stuck halfway, trapping us in the dim glow of our single headlamp like prisoners in a confessional. Gabriella's breath hitched as she yanked at it one last time, her voice cracking through the patter of rain on the nylon roof. "Mia, I can't do this anymore. I lied about everything, and it's killing me." Outside, thunder rolled over the Sierra de Aracena like the growl of some ancient grudge we'd both been carrying since the day our parents said, "I do," blending our fractured families into one uneasy mosaic. I stared at her, the girl who'd been my stepsister for 7 years, now a stranger in the flickering light, her dark curls plastered to her forehead, brown eyes wide with the kind of fear that strips you bare. We'd come to western Spain on this godforsaken family hiking trip to Bond, as our parents put it, a desperate bid to stitch together the seams of our blended life after Dad's latest round of layoffs and Mom's endless therapy sessions. But here we were, miles from the trailhead in Huelva's wild backcountry, our parents' tent washed out by the sudden storm, forcing Gabriella and me to huddle in this two-person shelter meant for quick overnights, not soul-bearing reckonings. It started innocently enough, or so I told myself. Back in Seattle, where the rain never stops and family dinners feel like scripted sitcoms, Gabriella and I had always orbited each other with polite disdain. She was the golden child from Mom's side, artistic, effortlessly charming, the one who could sketch a rainy Puget Sound sunset and sell it for coffee money at Pike Place. I was Dad's tomboy, all scraped knees and stubborn silences, more at home fixing bikes in the garage than charming aunts at Thanksgiving. When our parents married right after high school, we were thrust into sisterhood like ill-fitting puzzle pieces, me, 17 and seething over the divorce that uprooted me from California, her, 18 and masking her own grief with that megawatt smile. The trip was Mom's idea, reset, in the land of her ancestors, Andalusia's olive groves and whitewashed pueblos, where the air smelled of time and forgotten histories. Dad grumbled about the cost, but he packed anyway, his engineer brain mapping routes on apps while Mom romanticized it as healing through the hills. Gabriella and I rolled our eyes in unison at the airport, our first real sync since the wedding. "This is gonna suck," she muttered, slinging her backpack over one shoulder, her faded denim jacket already frayed at the cuffs. I nodded, shoving earbuds in, blasting indie folk to drown out the hum of expectations. The first day on the trail was brutal, switchbacks climbing from the cork forests near Aracena, the sun baking our skin through eucalyptus haze. Dad led with his GPS, barking directions like a drill sergeant. Mom trailed, snapping photos of wild lavender and Iberian pigs rooting in the underbrush. Gabriella and I lagged, trading barbs to pass the time. "You still hike like you're allergic to fun," she teased, her laugh light but edged, as I powered ahead on a steep incline. "And you still flirt with every trail sign like it's your next ex," I shot back, remembering the string of college boyfriends she'd paraded through our house, each more forgettable than the last. By afternoon, we'd hit the ridge, lungs burning, sweat stinging our eyes. The view was worth it, endless waves of green sierras rolling toward Portugal, dotted with fincas and the distant glint of the Atlantic. We collapsed on a boulder, sharing a water bottle in silence, the kind that felt less hostile than before. That night, camped by a stream under star-pricked skies, Gabriella unrolled her sketchpad. "Wanna see?" she asked, hesitant. I peered over. Her pencil had captured the ridge in soft strokes, me in the foreground, mid-stride, looking fierce and alive. "Not bad," I said, throat tight. She shrugged, but her eyes lingered, and for a second, the air between us hummed with something unnamed. The storm hit on day 3, right after we'd pushed deeper into the park's wilder veins, narrow paths flanked by sheer drops and twisted pines. Dad's tent flooded first, a comedy of errors with poles snapping in the gale. "Share with your sister," Mom yelled over the wind, shoving us toward the spare. Gabriella grabbed my arm as we dashed through sheets of rain, her grip warm and urgent. Inside, the space was claustrophobic, sleeping bags sipped together for warmth, our packs crammed against the walls, the air thick with the scent of wet earth and her citrus shampoo. We changed in awkward silence, backs turned, peeling off sodden layers. I caught a glimpse of her in the headlamp's beam, shoulders freckled from the sun, the curve of her spine like a question mark. Heat flushed my cheeks, I blamed the chill. Zipped into our bags side by side, we lay rigid, listening to the tempest rage. Lightning cracked, illuminating her profile, high cheekbones inherited from Mom's Spanish roots, lips parted in uneasy sleep. I should have closed my eyes, but memories flooded instead: the wedding, her stealing my favorite hoodie and never giving it back, high school, when she borrowed my essay for English and got the A while I scraped a C, college, her ghosting me after I confessed over drunk texts that I envied her ease with the world. "You're awake," she whispered suddenly, voice raw. I nodded, though she couldn't see. The rain drummed on, a relentless confessor. "Mia. Remember sophomore year? The party at Lake Union?" Her words hung heavy. I did. The bonfire, the stolen kisses with that girl from art class, the one who'd whispered promises in the shadows before vanishing. Gabriella had walked in, seen it all, and the next day, spread it like wildfire through our school. "Slutty stepsis," the whispers called me, thanks to her. I'd confronted her in the kitchen, plates shattering as I screamed, "Why? What did I ever do to you?" She just stared, eyes glassy, and said, "You exist. That's enough." The betrayal had festered, a poison in our shared bloodline. I'd built walls, lacrosse scholarships, late nights at the shop, dating guys who felt like placeholders. She drifted to Portland, art school flings and gallery shows, postcards signed with hollow affection. Now, in this tent, the past clawed free. "I was scared," she admitted, voice breaking. "Of you. Of what you made me feel." My heart stuttered. Feel. The word tasted like lightning. She turned toward me, our faces inches apart, breath mingling in the confined dark. "Jealous. Not of the girl, of you. The way you owned your truth, even if it hurt." "I was hiding, Mia. From Mom, from Dad, from this." Her hand found mine under the bags, tentative, electric. The storm outside paled against the one building between us, a slow unraveling of years, threads of resentment giving way to something softer, forbidden. We talked until dawn, words tumbling like rocks down a ravine. She confessed the lie. She told everyone about that kiss, not out of malice, but to bury her own ache, the way my laugh at parties twisted her gut, the stolen glances in family photos that lingered too long. "I thought if I pushed you away, it'd stop," she said, tears hot on my knuckles. I shared my side, the isolation of being the new kid in her polished world, the crushes on girls I'd quashed because stepsisters weren't supposed to notice each other's collarbones. Vulnerability cracked us open, raw and real, under the Spanish sky. By morning, the rain eased to mist, the world reborn in silvered light. We emerged, packs heavier but hearts lighter, stealing touches, a brush of fingers over granola bars, eyes meeting over the map. The trail wound on, through cork groves where pigs snorted in the shade, past hermitages carved into cliffs like secrets etched in stone. Dad joked about our sisterly truce, oblivious. Mom beamed, sensing the shift without naming it. But peace was fleeting. That afternoon, as we crested a pass near the Portuguese border, Gabriella's phone buzzed, a signal miracle in the wilds. Her face drained of color reading the text. "It's Lena," she murmured, the ex from Portland, the one who'd shattered her last year with infidelities and Instagram apologies. "She's here. In Seville. Wants to meet." The words landed like a betrayal anew, yanking us back to fragile ground. I froze mid-step, the gravel crunching under my boots like brittle bones. Gabriella's eyes darted to mine, pleading, but the damage was instant, a chasm reopening where we'd just bridged it. "Here." I echoed, voice flat, the Sierra's vastness mocking our small drama. She nodded, shoving the phone deep in her pocket as if it burned. She must have followed my check-in. "It's nothing, Mia. I blocked her months ago." But the lie hung, thin as the mist veiling the valleys below, and I wondered if this bond we'd glimpsed was just another family heirloom, pretty but prone to fracture. We pressed on in silence, the trail dipping into a shaded hollow where ferns carpeted the earth like forgotten regrets. Dad and Mom hiked ahead, their laughter echoing faintly, blissfully unaware of the undercurrents swirling behind. Gabriella tried small talk. Look at that eagle, circling like it's got all the time in the world. I grunted, my mind replaying the text's ghost. Lena, the artist with the asymmetrical bob and a laugh like shattered glass, the one who'd posted cryptic poems about lost muses after ghosting Gabriella mid-exhibition. I'd seen the fallout from afar, nights when Gabriella crashed at our place, eyes hollow, sketching feverishly until dawn. She doesn't get to rewrite this, I told her then, over cheap Merlot. Now, it felt like prophecy. By camp that evening, near a crumbling Roman bridge over a burbling Rio, tension simmered. We pitched tents in the gloaming, the air thick with pine resin and unspoken accusations. Mom stirred paella over the fire, chorizo and saffron scavenged from Aricena's market, while Dad regaled us with tales of his abuelo's olive farm nearby. Gabriella and I shared chores, chopping veggies, her knife flashing too quick beside mine. You're overthinking, she whispered, bumping my shoulder. It's just coincidence. But her voice wavered, and when she bent to gather wood, I caught the tremble in her hands. Night fell heavy, stars wheeling above like indifferent witnesses. Our parents retired early, wine loose and content, leaving us by the embers. The fire popped, casting shadows that danced across her face, softening the angles, highlighting the scar above her lip from a childhood bike crash we'd both laughed about once. Tell me about her, I said finally, poking the coals. Lena. Why now? Gabriella sighed, drawing her knees up, the oversized hoodie swallowing her frame. She was intense. Like a storm you chase because it's beautiful, until it wrecks you. We met at a gallery opening, her exhibit on fractured identities. I thought she saw me, really saw. But it was all projection. She cheated with her curator, then begged forgiveness on socials, turning my pain into public art. Her words twisted something in me, not jealousy, exactly, but a fierce protectiveness, laced with the fear of losing this fragile us. And you? What did you see in the wreckage? She met my gaze, firelight gilding her irises. Myself. The parts one hide, the need to be chosen, not just desired. Silence stretched, charged, until she reached across the log, tracing a callus on my palm from wrench turning. But that's over. This, us, it's real. Scary real. We lingered there, hands entwined, the river's murmur a lullaby to our confessions. She spoke of Portland's rainy alleys, where she'd first kissed a girl under a neon sign and felt the world tilt. I admitted the crushes I'd buried, like the barista at my garage who doodled hearts on my coffee sleeves. Laughter bubbled up, tentative at first, then free, echoing off the bridge's stones like absolution. When we finally crawled into the tent, the air felt warmer, our bags unzipped into one shared cocoon. No words needed, her head found my shoulder, breath steadying against my neck. Sleep came easy, dreams woven with olive branches and whispered vows. Dawn broke golden, the Sierras awakening in birdsong and dew-kissed wildflowers. We broke camp with renewed rhythm, packs light on our backs as the trail climbed toward the park's high plateau. The landscape shifted, open meadows giving way to jagged outcrops, wind whispering through grasses like old lovers' secrets. Dad snapped group selfies, Mom quoting Lorca about Duende, that soul-deep passion Spaniards chase. Gabriella and I fell into step, fingers brushing accidental on purpose, stealing glances that promised more. But the universe, ever the dramatist, had other plans. Mid-morning, as we navigated a boulder field near the Mirador at Pena de Arias Montano, Gabriella's phone chirped again, service flickering like a bad omen. She glanced, then paled, fumbling to silence it. Too late, I saw the preview. Lena, I'm at the trailhead. We need to talk. Foreclosure. Rage flared, hot and unbidden. She's stalking you, I hissed, pulling her aside behind a wind-gnarled juniper. This isn't closure, it's control. Gabriella's eyes welled, conflict etching lines on her young face. I have to face her, Mia. End it properly. Otherwise, it'll poison everything. Her logic pierced, but so did the fear, of her slipping back into old patterns, of our night talks dissolving like mist. Then I'm coming, I declared, voice steel. She searched my face, then nodded, a small smile breaking through my knight in hiking boots. The descent was swift, adrenaline sharpening our pace through terraced hillsides where shepherds once grazed goats. By noon, we'd looped back toward the park entrance, the eucalyptus groves thickening with memory. There, leaning against a rental Fiat with that signature smirk, was Lena, mid-20s, sharp-featured with a pixie-cut dyed electric blue, clad in designer activewear that screamed urban escape. "Gabs," she cooed, arms opening like a trap. Gabriella stiffened beside me, my hand finding hers in solidarity. What followed was theater, Lena's monologue of regrets, tears artfully streaked, pleas wrapped in poetry. "You were my muse, my everything. I was lost without you." Gabriella listened, grip tightening on mine, then stepped forward. "You were my storm, Lena. Beautiful, yes, but destructive. I can't chase thunder anymore." The rejection landed like a slap, Lena's facade cracked, venom spilling. "Who's this? Your rebound guard dog. Pathetic." She turned on me, eyes raking dismissively. "Stepsister savior. How quaint. Bet you've been waiting years for this." The word stung, dredging up every sidelong glance, every buried longing. But Gabriella's voice cut through, steady as the Sierras. "She's family. More than you ever were." Lena laughed, bitter, then spun on her heel, peeling out in a spray of gravel. Dust settled slow, the air humming with aftermath. We stood there, chests heaving, until Gabriella turned to me, eyes shining not with sorrow, but clarity. "Thank you," she whispered, pulling me into a hug that blurred lines we'd only begun to erase. Our parents, arriving late from a side trail, mistook it for sisterly relief, clapping us on the backs. But in that embrace, amid the scent of crushed time and exhaust, I felt the bond solidify, not just blood or step, but chosen, enduring. The rest of the hike unfolded like redemption, lazy afternoons in shaded groves, where Gabriella sketched us against the horizon, me with a half-smile, her with hope in her lines. Evenings by firelight, sharing stories of what-ifs, our laughter weaving tighter than any family vow. Yet, as we neared the trip's end, a shadow loomed, not from Lena, but deeper, in the letters we'd yet to write home. The final ascent to the monastery at Santa Maria de la Cabeza loomed like a metaphor, steep, unrelenting, promising vistas if we endured. We'd left the drama of Lena's ambush 2 days behind, but its echoes lingered in the quiet moments, Gabriella's hand lingering on my lower back during river crossings, my thumb tracing her wrist as we filtered water under poplar shade. Our parents, sun-browned and loose-limbed, chattered about extending the trip, perhaps a detour to Seville's flamenco bars, but I sensed the undercurrent, the way Mom's eyes flicked between us, perceptive as ever. It crested that penultimate night, camped on a mesa overlooking the Odio marshes, where egrets ghosted through twilight like paper lanterns. The air cooled sharp, carrying salt from the unseen sea. We'd hiked hard that day, bodies aching in harmony, and after dinner, canned sardines and crusty pan from a village stop, our parents wandered off for a moonlit stroll, leaving the fire to us. Gabriella stoked the flames, sparks ascending like prayers, while I leaned against my pack, watching her. "What's next?" I asked, the question loaded. Back to Seattle's grind. Portland's drizzle. Or this, us, undefined but undeniable? She sat beside me, close enough that our thighs touched, heat bleeding through denim. "I don't know," she admitted, voice soft against the cricket chorus. "But I want more of this. Of you." The confession hung, vulnerable, and my pulse thrummed in response. I turned, cupping her face, cheek warm under my palm, eyes searching mine with that same intensity from the tense first storm. Our lips met tentative, then sure, a kiss tasting of salt and saffron, years of what-ifs dissolving in the press. It was gentle, exploratory, no rush, just the quiet unfolding of recognition. When we parted, foreheads touching, she whispered, "I've loved you since the hoodie theft." Terrified me. Joy surged, mingled with terror. Stepsisters, taboo in whispers, but real in our bones. Me too, I breathed, the admission freeing. We talked then, mapping futures, weekend drives to the Olympics, shared apartments in a city that didn't judge, art and engine side by side. Laughter came easy, plans blooming like the night jasmine scenting the air. But dawn brought the betrayal, not hers, but fate's cruel twist. As we packed, Gabriella's pack spilled open in the wind, a sketchbook tumbled free, pages fluttering like startled birds. One caught my eye, a drawing from months back, me asleep on her couch after a family spat, captured with aching tenderness. Tucked inside, a letter, unsealed, her handwriting, dated last spring. "Dear Mia, if I never say this aloud." It trailed into confessions, of watching me from afar, of sabotaging that high school rumor to keep me close in anger, of Lena as a shield against this truth. But the end gutted me. I leave for Portland tomorrow. Maybe distance will dull it. Forgive me for what I can't be. She'd written it the night before her move, never sent, a relic of cowardice. "You kept this?" I asked, voice cracking, holding it like evidence. Her face crumpled. "I couldn't burn it. It was my way of holding on, even if it hurt." The words echoed Lena's storm, beautiful, destructive, and doubt flooded. Was this bond forged in isolation, destined to fray in the light? The argument erupted as we hit the trailhead, parents ahead in oblivious chatter. "You hid it from me. All this time, playing the victim." I hurled, backpack slamming against a fence post. Gabriella recoiled, tears streaking dust on her cheeks. I was ashamed. Stepsisters aren't supposed to. God, Mia, I betrayed myself first. Her voice broke on the word, raw with the weight of it all, the family mergers that forced proximity, the societal scripts we'd both internalized. I thought ending it was kinder. But the tent. You. It changed everything. We stood there, the parking lot baking under Andalusian sun, cars humming past like indifferent judges. Conflict raged, my fear of another abandonment, her terror of rejection. Climax built in shouts that drew stares. "You think I don't know betrayal? You started it." Until exhaustion won. I dropped to the gravel, sobs racking, and she knelt, arms enveloping. "I'm here now," she murmured, rocking us both. No more hiding. No more storms. Resolution came slow, humanistic in its mess, not a fairy tale vow, but a pact. We told our parents fragments, we've grown closer, faced old hurts, their hugs warm with unspoken understanding, the blended family finally flexing instead of breaking. On the flight home, Gabriella's hand in mine under the armrest, we sketched plans, therapy for the scars, time to redefine us beyond labels. Seattle welcomed us gray and familiar, but changed, her apartment a revolving door for my tools, my garage echoing with her laughter. Months blurred into rhythm, hikes in the Cascades mirroring our Spanish rebirth, gallery nights where her art featured us in abstract grace, two figures intertwined against Sierran skies. Betrayals faded to lessons, conflicts to compassion. The bond, once fragile, proved lifelong, not flawless, but forged in the fire of shared tense and thunderous truths. In quiet moments, like tracing her scar under kitchen lights, I knew, love, in all its dramatic hues, was our most human inheritance. And so, under rainy evergreens that echoed Andalusia's olives, we built, not despite the steps, but because of them. A story unfinished, but eternally ours.